is the House of Boom podcast. I'm your host, Boom Salvary, in the building tonight. Man, we got a lot of topics to talk about. The weekend giveth. Sometimes I get worried when I'm recording or, because this is a pre-recorded podcast, that all the subjects and all the things that I want to talk about is going to be past due. You know how the news cycle goes, sports news. It spoils like sour milk, really, really quickly. And not this weekend. That's not what's going down. So, a lot of football topics is going down tonight. I guess I don't know where I want to start, but then I guess I do know where I want to start. Let's talk about what in the NIL is going on. Now, what in the NIL is going on is, I guess, my constant monitoring of the NIL world and how it's changed the landscape. We can all agree it's changed the landscape of college sports. It's made the college football landscape the wild, wild west. And every time you think, okay, it's calmed down, you get a new story or a new little hiccup or a new little wrinkle to challenge what is going to be the new norm when it comes to college football, the NIL world, the whole thing. I mean, obviously soon there'll be some legislation passed so that schools can pay athletes, and I think that will kind of tighten the reins when it comes to college football, college sports in general. And that compensation, it's well deserved. For years and years and years, colleges have benefited off the backs of college athletes and things of that nature. But I want to talk about this story, which is one of the most interesting stories in college football. And it's Jaden Rashada. Now, Jaden Rashada, as we all know, he had a deal in place at the University of Florida that was going to pay him upwards, I think it was 9-10 million or something like that, before he had ever taken a snap in college football as a starting quarterback. And then he got there. Some things didn't work out. Payments didn't come through. And then all of a sudden, he was out the door. Then, he had to leave University of Florida. He transferred to Arizona State. And at his time at Arizona State, he actually decided he was going to sue Florida for a breach of contract. And in that time, I think he only started like 2 games at Arizona State. And then he moved on from the University of Arizona State to the University of Georgia. He didn't get any playing time. I didn't see significantly. I believe he actually redshirted last year. And now he is on to that's 4th school at, where's he going? Western Kentucky. And I'm just like, man, this is a lot about nothing. You know what I mean? Is he good enough to play at this level? Is this going to make NIL donors, boosters, whatever, really be tight with the purse when it comes to these college? Because, I'm one that often says that the one position I think is oversaturated for good reason, or, there's a lot more competition than there used to be, is quarterback. There's a surplus of quarterbacks because they start at such a young age that by the time they get to high school and by the time they get ready to their freshman year at college, you know what I mean, they are ready to go. Shout out to Tony Rasiopi, shout out to Madu Williams, and Select QB. These are 2 of them, of the 3, I'm cool with, definitely have a relationship with, and I've seen their work up close and personal, and they do great work. And it's people like them who really create a space where, like, there's a lot of quarterbacks who are ready to go, who are already mature enough, who've taken a ton of snaps, who have done the work beforehand, where the quarterback position is very much sped up, where by the time they get to a junior, they're like a 3rd-year NFL pro. You know what I mean? Because they've taken so many snaps and so on and so forth. So when I look at this NIL world and everything that's going on, and I look at somebody like a Jaden Rashada who had all the lights, and I don't know who's to say that he was really all that, because you know what I mean, you can pay somebody to give you a bunch of stars, and obviously we know people pay for the stars, and then if you're in a good system and you win a bunch of games, who's to say that it really translates to the next level when I'm going from high school to college? And so, what in the NIL has going on with Jaden Rashada? Will we ever see him come into fruition? When will it ever be just about football? Because I feel like you're going on your 3rd year, you haven't had any significant snaps, and it's like the more you move around, the less your chances are of you getting drafted and making it to the NFL. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, a quarterback is supposed to be a leader of the team. That's the person, that's the figurehead, that's the person everybody looks to. When you think of the Patriots, you don't think of Mike Vrabel, you think of Tom Brady. You know what I mean? And then, B, C, E, B, C, D, E, F, G, all that good stuff comes afterwards where you start thinking, oh, yeah, I remember this one. Oh, I remember that. But, at the end of the day, we still remember Tom Brady. When it comes to the Giants, we still remember Eli Manning. And then, then we think about David Tyree. When we think about Baltimore, we think about Lamar Jackson. And then we think about Isaiah Likely. All these people, you know what I mean? We think about the quarterback first. So the quarterback being the figurehead, if you ain't haven't even been on a team long enough to show those leadership, and then you have to play, and then you have to win, and then you have to be able to show that you can win and make the throws and all those things that accompany those things. Come on, come on. What in the NIL is going on? So, just to start off with that, you know what I mean? Jaden Rashada, you got to figure it out, bro, because time is running out. That clock is ticking, and guess what? It comes at you fast. Life comes at you fast, and there will always be other quarterbacks, other 5-star quarterbacks, so on and so forth. And we need to see 2 years of solid play from Jaden Rashada. If you're gonna rock out with Western Kentucky, and if that's the team that's gonna do it for you, you got to do it. Show out. They'll draft you from anywhere, but we need 2 years of solid play from you to really legitimize yourself and really make yourself an NFL prospect. And for an NFL team to legitimately want to take you seriously and draft you. Right now, you're probably undraftable. You know what I mean? Because you've had no significant snaps. So, you know what I mean? To Jaden Rashada, I'm talking like I'm sending him a personal message. Like, what? But what the NIL is going on with Jaden Rashada, and from that, we'll move on. Now, you would have thought that was the